To the Committee of the Whole, Osoyoos Town Council, on Monday, October the 19th, 2015 at 9 a.m. in Council Chambers. And I'll call the meeting to order and introduction of late items. And I would like to ask if we could introduce as a delegation the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society report. And I would need a resolution from Council. Thank you. That would be Rhodes Campbell. All in favor? Thank you very much. That will now be added on to the under delegations. And I need to resolve that the agenda be accepted as amended. Thank you. King, Youngberg, all in favor? Thank you very much. So first off, we're going to ask Birgit Ernstein from the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society to come up and to the microphone and speak. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Your Worship and councillors. I appreciate your giving us time for this. Osoyoos has just hosted, I hope you don't mind if I read a little bit, just to stay on topic. Go ahead. Osoyoos has just hosted 3 days of talks about our lake: climate change, water distribution, water quality, sockeye salmon enhancement, and First Nations treaty rights were among others that were discussed. Osoyoos Lake is extremely important to the overall economy and lifestyle of residents and tourists in this area. Indeed, the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society banner over Main Street said it all: love our lake. The Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society has begun work on our public awareness campaign to bring attention and appreciation of our lake. We have a number of initiatives planned that using the much appreciated grant funds from the town of Osoyoos over the next number of months. The purpose of the campaign is to draw attention to the many values and benefits of our lake and to encourage everyone to protect our lake. We are making lamp pole banners, garbage can decals, encouraging people to pitch in and save the lake. And we plan to put up a stand with factual information about the lake, which conforms with the information stands that are located throughout the town. Our society would like to propose that the town of Osoyoos endorse and support an Osoyoos Lake Appreciation Day. It seems to make the most sense to do this in the spring, as activities on the lake ramp up at that time. Specifically, we'd like to suggest that Victoria Day weekend would be a great time to do this, as it would bring both locals and tourists together. Our vision is that we would again fly our banner above Main Street, love our lake. We would have our lamp pole banners up, our garbage decals on, and we would have a public unveiling of our Osoyoos Lake information stand. Activities on and beside the lake with food and music would make this an enjoyable day. We recognize that this event could not be successful without the support of the town of Osoyoos and without bringing in many of the stakeholders, such as Destination Osoyoos, the Osoyoos Sailing Club, the local hotels, Inkameep, the local wineries, orchards, boat rental businesses, etc. I would suggest that we create a committee of all interested peoples to bring this together. Certainly, we all benefit from the lake, and we'll all benefit from such a warm celebration to show appreciation for the lake. The Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society has a long history of testing and protecting and providing public information about the lake. We believe this initiative would continue to provide protection and education about the lake that we all love. Thank you. I have some pamphlets if you haven't already seen them, and I can pass them out. Sure.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ernstein. You've obviously done a lot of work on this initiative, and I'm thinking that the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society was absolutely delighted that you took on the being the chair of this, because you've done a ton of things since you did that, so good. One thing that I'll just say first, and then I'll open it up for questions from council, is that on May 24th weekend, just that you know, that is the opening day of Market on Main, and so you may have to fight with them for space for the banner on Main Street, but you know, I'm sure that can be worked out. And when you were saying that you wanted to do it on the 24th, that is the official opening of the market right outside here. So, you know, maybe it could be worked together.
Is that the 24th? And I looked on my calendar, and the are you sure it's 24th? Because it's
It
22nd.
may not be the 24th. I say the 24th, but it's the long weekend
Okay, and
in May.
you're talking about Saturday?
Yes.
But it's a long weekend, so I suppose the day
It
could
would be the
negotiated.
Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday of the long weekend is when the market opens.
Yes.
So just so that you know, I mean, it's nice to have lots of things working together.
Yes, of course.
So I think the two of the things that you mentioned, the lamp banners and the information stand would have to go through the town.
Yes.
And to check that those types of things are appropriate, and you know, you just can't go and put them up on your own. So you understand that, I'm sure. Well, it sounds like a wonderful idea. Lake Osoyoos Appreciation Day. I'm sure that there you'll find lots of people that would certainly support this concept.
Thank you.
Is there anyone? Councillor Youngberg?
Hi, thank you, Member Cordov. Congratulations on such a wonderful plan that you've got lined up.
Thank you.
I just hope, and I know that this will be included, but I have just this thing about the little mussels. Can you?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, include
it's all
that.
education, right?
Great educational
Yes.
material that we have about that.
Yeah.
Because it's a wonderful time. Everybody's putting their boat in the water and all that sort of stuff that weekend. So.
And you know, that is one of our mandates, is to protect the lake.
Yes.
And in the
for
past,
you.
a lot has been done by the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality Society, and we're trying to get back to doing some of those things.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we could introduce the dog that weekend. For sniffing mussels.
Oh, yes. I have a wonderful dog I'll nominate.
Could we train him to do that?
That's quite a an undertaking to train a dog for that, but you know, certainly in the future.
Anyways, thanks very much and good job.
Thank you.
Councillor Campbell?
It's not so much a question as a comment. To plan a day around this to raise awareness is absolutely the right way to go. When we can pull together outdoor events and educate at the same time and have music and everything, I think that's a great way to get the public initially aware and engaged. So kudos, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and you know, we're not wedded to the May long weekend, but somehow it seems to make sense for that weekend, because that's when everything sort of starts in this town, and we'll have such a mix of the locals will be back from Arizona and the tourists will be here, and it's Lake Appreciation Day.
Absolutely. Anybody else? I was just going to mention at this time that several people that we have in the audience today were involved with the forum, the Water Science Forum last week, and that was a great 3 days. Past Mayor Stu is here, and he was the chair of that event, and I know Dennis Potter was also there, was complaining about having to sit all day, and so he got up and walked around a few times. It's hard to sit on those chairs for 3 days straight, I agree. But I just want to say thank you to the town of Osoyoos and all of the local people who took part in making that a really good event, and sometimes a little scary, some of the topics. Sometimes, you know, you learn some things that are really important that you didn't know, and I think just bringing awareness and being adaptable to all of the changes that are going to take place in our climate and our lake and so on are really positive steps, and so I thank the Osoyoos Lake Water Quality for your continued good work in bringing awareness to to our lake.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing more about the Water Appreciation Day.
Could I ask how I just want to know about process. I would love to find out relatively soon what the town thinks, whether the town is in favor of doing this, and if so, then I would like to pull together the stakeholders.
Sure. Mr. Romanko, would you be able to help us with that?
Well, I guess I need to clarify what it is you want specifically the town to do. Do you want to look for a designation of the day?
I would like the town to give us an endorsement of a designation of a day, yes,
Okay,
and
so-
support for that.
Okay, so we can bring a report to council at the next meeting with that specific request.
And I think specifically we need to answer the questions about the info stand that they would like to put up. There must be some.
We've had some discussions on that
good.
already, and also the banners, and
good.
working through our own budgeting processes to assist to ensure that there's sufficient amount of funds to purchase enough banners that would carry a message. So that'll be in the budget process.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much to the committee for coming, and Birgit for speaking to us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our business is the South Okanagan Protected Area, the intentions paper for the Protected Areas Framework for BC South Okanagan. And Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Cordov. Through previous motions of council has requested that the BC government continue discussions with Parks Canada to establish a national park in the South Okanagan. The BC government has responded with developing an intentions paper, Protected Areas Framework for BC South Okanagan, and you've got a copy of it on your desks. It also has a letter, the attached letter and document clearly outlined that the BC government is proposing to use a multi-tooled approach to protecting the unique environment of the South Okanagan. The approach represents the development of a national park in 2 geographic areas, north and south, and a conservancy under the Provincial Parks Act in the middle. The intentions paper is being provided as a public input tool with a response time frame of October 30th, 2015. The province has provided some very specific questions that they would like the public to address. Council needs to consider if it feels technically qualified to respond to the government's questions, or alternatively will respond with a more general comments and key messages. Council would also need to reaffirm that their comments were based on the 5 key principles that were developed to guide this process. Listed below are comments recommended for Council's consideration in response for the call for input. And I'll just run through these because they would basically form the essence of the response. So first, move away from the debate about the real and imagined merits and issues associated with National Park Reserve is sensible. The focus on examining underlying interests serves as a basis to pursue an innovative management framework that works to achieve agreed to end results. Basically, one of the processes that they went to an interest-based approach, and looking at whether or not whatever you call this area, as long as the ends were achieved, the feeling is there are different tools to accomplish that. Cooperative management structures involving municipal, provincial, and federal levels of government, working with First Nations, and actively engaging self-interest user groups could work over periods of years to develop a broader understanding of interests and evolving management strategies. And certainly the proposal considers having a cooperative management framework, and that was one of the key aspects of the sense of a national park, is that the vision was that often it's very structured, but Parks Canada has illustrated the fact that they are in several co-management type of agreements. A key issue in Council's view would be the narrow parameters placed around whose issues are being addressed. Protected areas designation needs to encompass a broad recognition of the benefits associated with the broader public or common good. such as the protection of poorly represented ecoregions in BC. Council would want the proposal to be exclusively skewed, would not want the proposal to be exclusively skewed to a public compromise, political compromise that ensures that specific recreation lobbyists and the tenure holders of public crown lands are not inconvenienced or feathered. Providing guarantees of unfettered access in perpetuity to existing tenure holders is questionable. Existing leases can be honored, and new leases issued only if they do not compromise over accepted values or purposes. Council, my recommendation is to consider that Council would not address the questions presented in the intentions paper, because an informed response requires in-depth knowledge relating to the science of ecosystems, species at risk inventories, wildlife corridors, and connectivity needed for species protection. Council is relying on the government to ensure that appropriate science in the above areas is being used to establish these areas, as opposed to responding to self-interest users. It is noted that there's no connectivity, at least by an area border, between Area 2 and 3. If connectivity is important for species that need to move, some form of corridor may need to be established connecting the 3 areas through legislation, rather than relying on good intentions of landowners that control the land between Areas 2 and 3. For connectivity purposes, it would be beneficial to put this whole discussion in the context of what is happening south of the U.S.-Canada border. In Council view, the tourism marketing area would be compromised by the entire area not carrying the title of a national park. If Area Number 2 meets the criteria of a national park designation, consider the conservancy areas being placed in the national park, with additional emphasis on the unique nature of the co-management and arrangement. International travelers are familiar with the concept of national parks and are drawn towards that specific distinction. Assess the potential for the town of Osoyoos boundaries to make coterminous to the national park. The current system leaves gaps that will be confusing to area users. Enter into discussions with the town of Osoyoos in relation to including potential developable lands within the town boundary and making national park boundaries coterminous with the town. Lands with conservation value can be protected through municipal conservation designations. And lastly, consider the potential for the Osoyoos BC Visitor Center as an education and interpretive center for this newly created protected area. Visitor information and interpretive centers are an important part of the national park experience. The existing BCVC is a facility that is strategically placed and has the current link to the First Nations culture. So for options being presented to Council, consider these recommendations, additional information from Council, and move a response to the government as an agenda item for the October 19th regular meeting agenda. Move this item to the October 19th regular meeting agenda for consideration whether or not Council will provide input to the intentions paper. So as you can see, I've presented some thoughts that kind of build on what the previous councils were saying relative to there's interest in having a national park in the area. There are reasons for it. It's a matter of the intentions paper. Again, from my perspective, the questions they're asking about are, should more land be added to it or taken away? Are we missing anything? Well, that really depends on the science. And national parks and the ecosystem protection is very much a science-based approach, and as opposed to very specifically an interest-based approach.
Thank you very much, and Mr. Manco, for doing this and for putting it in this format. I read it over several times and went back and looked at the intentions paper to see, how it fit together. The one thing that the fourth bullet, 1, 2, 3, 4, Council will not address the questions presented. I just wanted to point out that in talking with, I believe it was MLA Larson, she did say to me that really what they're looking for is for individuals and people from the area to give their input. And so I don't think we should worry about the science-based approach from council's point of view, although there's nothing wrong with mentioning that that's an important component. But I really think they sort of know the people that have been sort of loud and have pushed this park. They know how they feel about it. My understanding is that with this particular paper, they want to hear from a lot of the other people that have not had a chance to say anything yet, and individuals should be encouraged to go through and put and give their input into this. I do like several of the things that you have put in here. I'd like to include a statement about heritage sites, and I know that was asked in the questions here. I think that we have Spotted Lake and the Desert Center are two of them that are included on the maps. It was suggested that the Haynes Ranch and even the Haynes House in Osoyoos could be added to the park as a separate area. It doesn't have to be attached to the area 1, 2, or 3. And to my mind, those kinds of things, the RDOS is doing a heritage study right now, and they're trying to identify all of the heritage sites in the South Okanagan and see what we can do to help protect them. And if that's a possibility to include those in there, I just think that would work really well. So those are, and Mount Cobo. To my mind, Mount Cobo is a really key area that we should include in here, and I think that it's in area 2, but that's a protected area, and I know that there are many people, I'm sure, that will respond with a concern about having Mount Cobo protected even more carefully. And the last thing is the connectivity. And at the water forum last week, they were talking about Ministry of Environment and corridors for wildlife, and that definitely is something that needs to be looked at through the states and through Canada. So, I think that you've got a lot of the points that actually we wanted, and I certainly understand why we didn't answer the questions the way they were. I think an overall response to this is a good idea. However, I will let other people. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mayor McCordov. I think I've been quite vocal in the past about supporting all aspects of the national park, and have taken every opportunity I can to rant about it whenever anybody's willing to listen to me. One of the suggestions I would like to make, and I know this is a little offbeat, but the last two councils have actually done a formal resolution of support for the national park concept for different reasons, and we're looking at it right now. It might be kind of beneficial for us to maybe pause and do that with this council, because, you know, when you have total consensus and have that united front and moving forward with these kind of things, it's always a good idea to express that you do have total consensus on your council. We're kind of reacting to instructions from the past council that we have, and it would be good to maybe just do an update of that resolution to find out whether we're actually there or not. I mean, I think I got a pretty good idea, but to go through the formality would be very important for me to know that we have total support on our council.
We can include that as if this is going to be moved to the agenda this afternoon.
Yes.
Certainly that's something that can be brought forward as kind of part of this particular subject area.
So should we do that this afternoon, do a resolution,
yes,
or do it now to be included?
Yeah, I would suggest that. The Committee of the Whole is more administrative resolutions, okay, and I would see a resolution of that nature being a policy resolution, so it should be passed in the regular council. Good. I think that's a good idea. We did talk about it before, Councillor Rhodes, and we kind of agreed that it was a carryover from the last council, but absolutely I think that would give a little bit of strength to a letter. Now, can I just understand that once we've decided that
these are the things that we want to include, would it be then a letter from town council that would go to, and you would take this information and you would put it into a letter and I would sign it, or what?
That's right.
Sounds good.
I could try and structure the letter even this morning, later this morning or early this afternoon, bring it back as a report for this afternoon's meeting, if that's the direction of council.
Would that be the direction of council? Yeah. Okay. But we want to make sure that we get the resolution on support of the park as well as part of
right.
that? Okay, so that could be put in and we could agree to that this afternoon.
That's right.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to this?
We need a resolution to move this to this afternoon?
Yeah.
Yes.
As soon as we're finished with any more discussions on what we need to add, absolutely. Councillor King. Yes, Councillor Youngberg.
Just one comment. The connectivity that's part of your presentation, I think, in the letter, wasn't it?
Yes.
I just think it's really just real necessary to connect it. So I just thought that should be part of
for animals and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the movement of.
And it has been talked about for sure. So we can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Romanko, for taking this on. It's a big issue. Mm-hmm. We are happy that the provincial government, because of the election and the fires and all the other catastrophes this summer, had moved it from I think it was the 12th or 13th originally, and down to the 30th. So we've got a couple of weeks to get this finished. Well, 2 weeks. Okay, so Councillor King.
I make our option number 1. Consider these recommendations additional information from council and move a response to government as an agenda item for the October 19th regular meeting agenda.
Okay. And Councillor Youngberg. All in favor? Thank you very much. So I believe that's the end of the committee of the whole meeting. So could we have a resolution to close the meeting, please? Be adjourned. Rhodes, Campbell, all in favor. Thank you very much. So we'll take 5 before we start the next one.